Hi, I'm David Baker. I'm part of the team here at Origin Live, and today I'm going to be telling you how to change the tone arm on a Rega turntable. You might want to remove the Rega for repair or modification. This is going to show you how to do that. Or you might also want to replace the Rega tone arm to change it out for a different, better tone arm. It's a very easy fitting to use. I'm going to talk about the two slightly different tone arm fittings with the old style Rega tone arm and also the newer 3-pin fitting, and I'm going to talk you through why you might want to change the tone arm as well. So let's get to it. So what you're going to need is a crosshead screwdriver, a comedically large spanner, and because we're in the hypoallergenic hi-fi business, we're going to need our, I can't even remember what this is called. Microfiber cloth? A word of advice. Before moving the turntable, you're going to want to take off the platter because it's quite heavy and it could fall off. So we're just going to remove that and put it to one side. So I'm going to start by running you through how to change the old style Rega mount. Here we have a lovely Rega planar 3. Now we need to first get it on its side, so I'm going to just place some microfiber cloth along here so it's not going to get damaged, it's not going to get scuffed by anything, and then I'm just tilting the turntable up on its end. You might want to rest it against a more solid surface on the back here if you're worried about it tipping over, which I probably should be, but hey ho. On the old style Planar 3, we have the tone arm cables here, and they're just mounted to the plinth with a little crosshead screw here, which I'm going to take out now. There we go. Okay. Keep the screw safe. You're going to need it again, most likely. And I'm just going to take off the cable clip that was on there. I don't know if you can see that very well. Now, you're probably thinking, why on earth would you use this ridiculously large spanner? It's going to scratch up the plinth, it's going to damage it. But I do have a little trick for you. If you're using this, and also if you're using an adjustable spanner, I'd probably recommend using an adjustable spanner. This feels ridiculous to use, but I didn't have one to hand, so hold on. A little trick that we have for assembly is getting some masking tape and just basically wrapping it around any surface area that might touch your product. And that is going to help basically prevent any scratching of your lovely turntable. So there you see, that should help keep your product a lot cleaner. Hopefully no scratches. Okay, so this should slot right onto that bolt. We're just going to unscrew it. The Rega is still safely attached in the plinth, but we're just going to want to be a little careful at the end, making sure that it doesn't kind of fall through. It has no reason to, but you always want to be careful with this stuff because it's pretty valuable. So let's go. That was incredibly easy to undo. but it was just my fingers were too weak for the initial part of this. So I'm just holding onto the cable to make sure it doesn't travel any further through. And there we go. That bolts off, and you're probably going to want to just slide it out from the cables and set it to the side for safekeeping. Now, just a word of advice, when we're going to be lowering this back down, I'd hold on to the tonearm cable. I would also hold on to the sides of the cover so that it doesn't fall off as we're taking it back down. Okay. Now it's down, I'm going to remove the cover. And then I'm just going to be able to really easily just lift up the turntable out of the plinth and just take the cable through the hole. So we've removed it. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 3-pin fitting, and then I'm going to run you through changing over to a different tonearm. Here I have the Rega RB110 with the 3-pin system for fitting. That's here. 3-pin. That's really bad. It's a pin there. There's a pin there, and there's a pin there, and these can all be removed just with an Allen key. It's worth quickly mentioning that with the new style Rega mount, if you have the Rega Planar 2 or above, it's going to be very straightforward to take out the tonearm, and the cable, there will be a fly-out lead attached to the bottom of the tonearm, and you're just basically swapping it around like for like. If you have the Planar 1 or the Planar Plus, it's a plug-and-play version, and you won't have fly-out cables. The cables that you can kind of see at the bottom of this base will be wired into a chassis at the bottom of the turntable, which is a little bit less accessible. It's not impossible to change over these tonearms, but you will probably want to feel a little bit more confident with a soldering iron, and you might have to get creative with where your cables are going to fly out from. The other thing to bear in mind, if you're changing over the newer 3-point mount, is just the simple fact that there are going to be 3 holes left in your turntable on the top side of the deck. It's pretty easy to fill these in. You could either use filler, or in the past for clients, we've just simply inserted some bolts in there, or something like a disc or a round piece of material with a hole in the middle for the tonearm to go through would easily cover these things up as well. There is a whole host of different tonearms that you could fit that have the Rega geometry that will easily attach to the planar and any other models that they do. Among those are Roxanne, Michel Engineering, and Clear Audio. But obviously I'm going to be fitting an Origin Live tonearm, and today I'm going to be fitting this, which is the Onyx. This comes in at £480, which is actually pretty good value for what you're getting. We have a VTA adjuster here, so that you can actually adjust the tonearm for different kinds of cartridges. We also, the arm tube that you're looking along here has more rigidity, it performs better, it gets rid of resonances better, and also the counterweight at the end is much better at preventing resonance reflection through the tonearm. We have successfully removed the Rega tonearm, and now we're ready for an upgrade. With the Rega turntable, something that's actually quite handy about where they've placed the isolation feet is they've got one at the front here, they've got another one here, and then they have one in the middle here. So when you want to replace your arm, you can actually take the turntable just kind of over the side of of a surface. Maybe if you're doing it on a table, you're doing it on something else. But it's going to make it really easy to drop in the cabling and your new arm. So I'm just going to feed through the earth, the red cable. It doesn't matter the order of cables, just put them in. The other cable. And then I'm just going to drop in, not literally drop, but you know, lower in the arm base here. So the next thing we're going to want to do is roughly kind of set VTA. Not quite yet, but we just want to get a rough idea of where the arm height is. So I'm going to put the plinth back on now. It's not the plinth, the platter. I'm well out of it. Need to have lunch. Okay. So there we go. Pretty straightforward. Right. Now this is pretty safe in here. I wouldn't worry too much. We're going to want to set VTA first. But if you want to be really safe, you could put the nut on at this stage. You might want to put it on a little bit further down the line so you don't have to keep going back and forth setting up VTA, but for safety I'm going to put it on now, and I'd probably recommend that you do the same. So again, we just feed the nut over the cables one by one and circle it up, and I'm just going to lightly screw that on. Like so. Next we're going to want to set up our cartridge so that we can properly set up VTA. To do this I'm going to be using one of our older versions of our Soundsmith cartridge. It was called the Aladdin at the time. I love this cartridge, it looks beautiful. And we're also going to need a test record. So I have the uncomparable Engelbert Humperdinck to use. You might just want to use a test record that you're not especially precious about, just in case anything happens in setup. Now, at the moment, I'm just keeping on the very thick, incredibly thick felt mat that Rega supply. If you're going to use a different platter mat, now would be the time to change it over, because you will need a different VTA setting depending on how thick the mat is. But we're just going to pop old Engelbert on the platter there. Why am I doing... there's no order to do this in, but I did this before I set up the cartridge. I'm going to set up the cartridge now instead. So, very simply, I'm just going to connect the cartridge tags. At another point, I will make a video of how to really properly tune in the tone arm. But right now, I just want to kind of get to grips with changing one over. And also, if you get an Origin Live or Roxanne or a Clear Audio, there should be very clear instructions on how to do this with the tone arm. Okay, cartridge clips are attached. I've got the stylus guide on. I've got the stylus guard on. You definitely want that on if you're doing something like this. Otherwise I would have just wrecked this cartridge. And we have the bolts for the cartridge, which I'm going to put on now. Okay, so those are just lightly nipped up on the head shell here, because you're going to want to keep them loose so that you can adjust tracking angle and some other things later on. Now we're going to take the stylus guard off, and we're just going to carefully place the tone arm somewhere, maybe roughly in the middle of the record, and just test out where it goes down to. I mean, I've kind of nailed it there, but our general guidance is that we want our arm tubes to sit about, how do you say it, parallel with the surface of the record. So we have a little card here with straight lines. We're going to put it behind the tone arm tube, and we're just going to adjust the VTA until it's perfectly parallel with these lines. So I've got it there. I'm putting it on poor old Engelbert. He suffers. And I'm just getting low to check the angle. I mean, maybe I should literally put this out for you guys so that I actually have a hard job. When you're going to adjust the angle, obviously lift up the stylus and take it off. And just make your adjustment bit by bit. You don't really want to leave the cartridge on the record because you're going to basically wreck the stylus. So I'm just undoing the clamp at the bottom, just a little bit. I'm screwing down the VTA adjuster, which is going to raise the arm. Okay, and then I'm tightening up the nut with my fingers. You don't want to tighten the nut too hard. It messes with the bass resonances. You kind of want to leave it just enough so that this isn't moving about, but you shouldn't really need to use a spanner, and it's a shame that Rega do tighten up that nut so much that you need a spanner, because it's going to affect the bass. Right. Now I'm just going to check this again. Let's see how that's sitting. It's a little bit lower, so I'm going to raise up the arm again. And having VTA adjustment is crucial so that you can upgrade your cartridge. Okay, and that is sitting very nicely parallel. The rest of the setup I'd like to get to in another video, and our information on setup and our guidance I'm going to link in the description so that you guys can find it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, even share, and we're hoping to make a lot more content for you guys, some how-tos, some explanations in the coming months. I think it's pretty hard to get these out, so hopefully every other week or so. But thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.